Captain Vextari adjusted his ceremonial shoulder tentacles and checked his reflection in the command console's polished surface. Today was the day he would finally apprehend the notorious human smuggler Jake Murphy, and he intended to do it with the full pageantry that Galactic Enforcement Division regulations demanded. Lieutenant Glorp, status report, Vextari commanded, his voice carrying the weight of someone who had read every enforcement manual twice. Sir, target vessel identified as the cargo freighter definitely not suspicious holding position in asteroid field Delta 77, Glorp replied, his smaller tentacles nervously twitching over the sensor array. Single human life sign aboard. No escort vessels detected within 3 light hours. Weapons Officer Zek practically vibrated with excitement at his station. Sir, request permission to charge main batteries. We could vaporize that rust bucket before he even knows we're here. Absolutely not, Vextari snapped. This arrest will be conducted according to proper protocol, but we are representatives of civilized law and order, not common pirates. Initiate dramatic emergence sequence. The Jihad cruiser Inevitable Justice materialized from hyperspace with all the theatrical flair that Regulation 15.4 demanded. Running lights blazed in synchronized patterns, the hull gleamed with fresh polish, and speakers mounted along the ship's length boomed the traditional enforcement declaration across all communication frequencies. Ascension criminal vessel. This is Captain Vextari of the Galactic Enforcement Division. You are completely surrounded and have no possibility of escape. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Resistance is futile and will result in additional charges being filed against you. Vextari leaned back in his command chair, satisfied. This was how proper law enforcement operated. Overwhelming force, clear communication, and absolute authority. The human would surrender within minutes, just like the manual predicted. The response crackled through the comm system with casual confusion that made Vextari's tentacles curl in irritation. Surrounded by who exactly? I'm looking out my window here and I see one ship, some rocks, and a whole lot of empty space. Did you guys bring backup that's really good at hiding, or are we using different definitions of the word surrounded? Lieutenant Glorp's sensor readouts confirmed the uncomfortable truth. No other enforcement vessels within detection range. No hidden ships lurking behind asteroids. Just their single cruiser and Murphy's beat-up freighter sitting in the middle of nowhere like they were having a casual chat. Sir, Glorp whispered. Technically speaking, he has a point about the surrounded thing. Zek looked confused. Shouldn't he be panicking right about now? The manual says humans become irrational and desperate when confronted with superior firepower. Vextari's tentacles twitched as he realized his perfect arrest scenario was already going off script. Listen here, Murphy. Vextari declared, injecting extra authority into his voice. You are wanted for smuggling illegal substances across 17 different star systems. Specifically, you have been trafficking in the controlled substance known as coffee beans. In direct violation of Galactic Health and Safety Code 774.9. Wait, hold up, Jake's voice cut through the comm with genuine bewilderment. Coffee's illegal now? Since when? And 17 systems? Buddy, I've only been to 3 places this month, and 2 of those were just fuel stops. The coffee prohibition was enacted 6 months ago after the Rigel incident, Vextari explained with bureaucratic precision. The substance was deemed too dangerous for general distribution due to its ability to increase energy levels and unpredictable behavior in most galactic species. So let me get this straight, Jake continued, and Vextari could practically hear him scratching his head through the comm. You're telling me that coffee, the thing I drink every morning just to function like a normal human being, is now classified as a dangerous drug? Correct. And you think I'm some kind of criminal mastermind running beans across the galaxy? The evidence is overwhelming. Right. Okay, I'm going to need to speak to your supervisor about this. Also, do you have a complaint form? Because this whole surrounded thing is definitely false advertising. Lieutenant Glorp made a strangled noise. Sir, should I transfer him to the complaint department? Before Vex Tari could respond, a new voice joined the conversation. Mechanical, sarcastic, and somehow managing to sound bored despite being an artificial intelligence. This is Murphy, ship's AI for the vessel in question. For the record, I'd like to point out that according to the Standard Galactic Dictionary, the word surrounded requires hostile forces to be positioned on all sides of a target. Current hostile forces detected, 1. Sides currently covered. Maybe 45 degrees if we're being generous. Mathematical impossibility rating, moderate to severe. Zek turned to Vex Tari. Sir, his computer is making fun of us. I am not making fun of anyone, Murphy replied primly. I am simply providing accurate definitions and tactical assessments. If those happen to highlight certain logical inconsistencies in your approach, that is merely coincidental. Jake's chuckle came through the comm. Sorry about Murphy. He's programmed to be helpful, which unfortunately means he points out when things don't make sense. Speaking of which, what's with putting all your weapon ports on the same side of your ship? Doesn't that seem like a design flaw? Vex Tari looked at his tactical display and realized with growing horror that Murphy was right. Their starboard weapons array was impressive, but their port side was basically defenseless. How had he never noticed that before? Lieutenant Glorp, why are our sensors showing no other human vessels in this sector? Because there aren't any, sir. Long-range scans confirm this freighter is operating alone. Then how exactly are we surrounding him? The bridge fell silent except for the hum of the life support systems and what sounded suspiciously like Jake Murphy starting up some kind of machinery in the background. Oh, don't mind me, Jake said cheerfully. Just getting started on my daily maintenance routine. This is fascinating, though. You guys do this often? The whole dramatic entrance thing followed by logistical confusion? Because I've got to say, it's not nearly as intimidating as you probably think it is. All stations maintain position, Vex Tari ordered, though his voice lacked its earlier confidence. Lieutenant Glorp, contact command and request immediate backup. We need additional vessels to properly establish a perimeter. Already on it, sir, Glorp replied, his tentacles dancing across the communication console. ETA for reinforcements is 47 minutes. 47 minutes? Jake's voice carried a note of genuine concern. Guys, I hate to be that person, but I've got a delivery schedule to maintain. Can we maybe speed this up a little? You are in no position to make demands, criminal, Vex Tari declared, though even he could hear how hollow it sounded. Criminal seems a bit harsh. I mean, technically, I didn't know coffee was illegal when I bought it, and I definitely didn't know it when I agreed to transport it. Doesn't intent matter in galactic law? Also, while we're waiting for your friends to show up. Anyone want some coffee? I've got plenty of the allegedly illegal stuff, and it seems wrong to let it go to waste. Zek perked up at his station. What does coffee taste like? It's a stimulant beverage, Vex Tari said quickly. Consumption would be a violation of duty regulations. Actually. Murphy interjected, consumption of controlled substances during an arrest scenario would technically constitute evidence tampering, which carries its own set of penalties. However, since the substance in question was legal when acquired and its criminal status is based on recent regulatory changes, there might be a grandfather clause exception. Jake laughed. I love how your computer knows galactic law better than you do. But seriously. The whole coffee prohibition thing is ridiculous. You want to know why humans drink coffee. It's not because we're trying to become unstable energy beings. It's because most of us are basically zombies until we've had our first cup. It's less dangerous drug and more essential life support. The Rigel incident suggests otherwise, Vex Tari replied stiffly. What exactly happened at Rigel anyway? Because I've been to 17 different enforcement encounters now, and every single one has some variation of the incident that supposedly proves humans are dangerous. Lieutenant Glorp quietly consulted his database. Sir, according to the files, the Rigel incident involved a human named Peterson who consumed 17 cups of coffee in 2 hours and then challenged the entire Rigel station security force to what he called a dance-off for the ages. And? He won. Jake burst out laughing. That's it? That's your dangerous incident? A human had too much coffee and outdanced some security guards? How is that a galactic threat? The security footage was disturbing, Glorp admitted. His moves defied several laws of physics. That's not defying physics, that's just what happens when humans get really, really caffeinated. We become temporarily awesome at everything. It wears off. Murphy's voice carried digital amusement. Current betting pool among crew members of hostile vessel. 63% believe Captain Vextari will admit logical error before backup arrives. 37% believe he will double down on current strategy until mathematically impossible to maintain. Side bets include whether anyone will actually try the coffee. You're taking bets on our arrest? Zek asked. I am facilitating a harmless recreational activity that helps pass time during this extended tactical standoff. But it's not a standoff, Vextari protested. It's a proper arrest procedure. Sir. Jake's voice carried a helpful tone. I don't want to tell you how to do your job. But maybe calling for backup before you've actually surrounded someone is putting the cart before the horse. I mean, what are you going to tell them when they get here? That you need help not surrounding one guy? 47 minutes later, 3 additional Geode vessels dropped out of hyperspace with considerably less fanfare than Vextari's original entrance. The cruisers Stern Justice, Unwavering Law, and Bureaucratic Might took positions around Jake's freighter in what could generously be described as a formation. There, Vextari announced with satisfaction, "Now you are properly surrounded." Jake's response came after a thoughtful pause. Okay, I'll give you credit for effort, but you're all clustered on one side still. It's more like you're aggressively loitering than actually surrounding anything. I'd call this surrounded adjacent at best. 4 ships constitute overwhelming force, Captain Nex Vell of the Stern Justice declared over the intership comm. Surrender is the only logical option. 4 ships positioned randomly around one target constitute poor tactical planning, Jake replied cheerfully. Seriously, who taught you guys formation flying? You've got overlapping fields of fire, blind spots big enough to fly a cargo hauler through, and at least 2 of you are in each other's way if you need to maneuver quickly. Murphy added helpfully, current tactical grade based on standard military doctrine, D+ for creativity, C- for effort, F for practical implementation. Your AI is grading our formation? Captain Nex Vell sputtered. He grades everything, Jake said apologetically. It's part of his helpful nature. But he's not wrong. Look, Captain Nex Vell, right? Your position relative to the Unwavering Law means you can't fire on my starboard side without risking hitting your own people. And Bureaucratic Might is so far out of position they might as well be spectating. Vextari checked his tactical display and realized with growing dismay that Murphy was absolutely correct. Their formation looked impressive but was tactically useless. How does a cargo smuggler know military doctrine? He asked suspiciously. Who says I'm just a cargo smuggler? Jake replied, and for the first time his casual tone carried an undertone of something more serious. I mean, I am currently smuggling cargo, but that doesn't mean it's all I've ever done. Also, I'm not trying to escape here, guys. I'm just pointing out that your strategy has some holes in it. Then what are you trying to do? Captain Nex Vell demanded. Honestly, I'm trying to figure out why 4 military vessels are treating coffee transport like it's a weapons trafficking operation. This seems like massive overkill for bean smuggling. As if to prove his point, Jake began providing running commentary on their tactical mistakes while apparently continuing his ship maintenance. He identified weak points in their formations, predicted their likely movement patterns if he tried to run, and demonstrated an encyclopedic knowledge of GED operational procedures. "Okay, serious question," Jake said after explaining why their current formation violated 3 different fleet engagement protocols. "Who exactly do you think you're dealing with here? Because your intel seems to be way off." Lieutenant Glorp nervously consulted his files. "Sir, our intelligence report lists Jake Murphy as a low-level smuggler specializing in contraband foodstuffs. Threat assessment, minimal. Recommended force, single patrol vessel." "Then why are 4 cruisers here?" Jake asked reasonably. The uncomfortable silence that followed was broken by Murphy's helpful observation. Admiral Crex's command vessel just dropped out of hyperspace. Threat escalation level, bureaucratic. "Oh good," Jake sighed. "More management." Admiral Crex's flagship, the Inexorable Authority, dwarfed the other enforcement vessels as it settled into what he clearly believed was a commanding position. The Admiral himself appeared on the main view screen, all 4 arms crossed in a display of absolute confidence, his ceremonial rank tentacles arranged in perfect regulation formation. "Captain Vex Tari, explain this delay immediately," Crex demanded. "A simple arrest should have been completed hours ago." "Sir, the suspect is uncooperative," Vex Tari replied carefully. "Uncooperative how?" "He's 1 human in a cargo vessel against 5 military cruisers. What possible difficulty could he present?" Jake's voice cut into the Admiral's frequency with cheerful curiosity. "Admiral Crex, I presume. I'm Jake Murphy, the alleged criminal in question. Quick question, which manual did you guys use to plan this operation? Because I've got copies of 17 different alien field guides to human behavior here. And they all say completely different things about how we're supposed to react to overwhelming force." Admiral Crex's tentacles stiffened. "I beg your pardon?" "Well, this one from the Centauri Defense Force says humans become irrationally aggressive when cornered and will fight to the death regardless of odds. But this one from the Vegan Trade Authority says we're natural negotiators who prefer diplomatic solutions. And this one—" Jake paused, apparently flipping through pages. "This one from the Rigel Security Council just says run in big letters. So which is it?" "Human psychological profiles are classified military intelligence," Crex declared stiffly. "Then why are they being sold at spaceport gift shops? I picked most of these up in the Know Your Species section next to the travel guides and souvenir mugs." Murphy helpfully added, "Cross-referencing available data suggests that galactic intelligence on human behavior is approximately 63% inaccurate, 22% outdated, and 15% completely fabricated." "Your computer is accessing classified databases," Admiral Crex accused. "Actually, I'm just reading the gift shop books out loud," Jake replied. "But since you brought up classified intelligence, why don't you tell me what your files say about Jake Murphy specifically? Because I'm really curious what kind of threat assessment led to 5 warships being dispatched for coffee smuggling." The silence stretched until Lieutenant Glorp whispered, "Sir, should I read him the file?" "Absolutely not." "Oh, come on," Jake cajoled. "I promise not to hurt your feelings if it's wildly inaccurate. I mean more wildly inaccurate than thinking 1 ship surrounded me." Admiral Crex decided to take control of the situation through superior authority. "Jake Murphy, I am ordering you to surrender immediately. You will power down your vessel, open your airlocks, and submit to arrest. This is not a negotiation." "Okay, but here's the thing," Jake replied patiently. "You're asking me to surrender for smuggling coffee, which was legal when I bought it. You're claiming I'm surrounded when you're clearly not surrounding me. And you're treating me like some kind of dangerous criminal mastermind when I'm just a guy trying to deliver beans to people who want to drink them. So maybe we could start over with some accurate information and reasonable requests." "The law is the law," Crex declared. "Ignorance is not a defense." "Actually." Jake said, and his tone shifted to something more serious. Galactic Statute 42.6 clearly states that laws cannot be applied retroactively without a grace period for compliance. The coffee prohibition includes a 6-month transition period, which hasn't expired yet. Also, enforcement actions require proper documentation, which needs to specify the actual crime being committed. Surrounded isn't a legal term, and you can't arrest someone for failing to surrender to a tactical situation that doesn't exist. The bridge went dead silent. Furthermore, Jake continued relentlessly, your current formation is in violation of Galactic Traffic Control Regulations 15, 23, and 37. So technically, you're committing more crimes right now than I am. Admiral Krex's tentacles began twitching uncontrollably. 3 hours later, Admiral Krex sat in his command chair staring at a stack of digital paperwork that somehow kept growing instead of shrinking. What had started as a simple smuggling arrest had evolved into an impromptu seminar on human psychology, galactic law, and proper military formation tactics. Jake Murphy, it turned out, wasn't just a coffee smuggler. He was a retired human military instructor who had spent 15 years teaching alien species about human tactical thinking. His smuggling operation was actually a consulting business helping various species understand Earth-based trade goods, with coffee being his most popular educational tool. So let me get this straight, Vextari said, reviewing the updated files on his console. You're not a criminal. Nope. Licensed cultural exchange specialist with proper documentation filed in 17 systems, Jake confirmed. The coffee thing is completely legal under my educational exemption permits. And you were never trying to escape or resist arrest. Why would I? You weren't actually arresting me for anything real. I was mostly just confused about why you thought one ship could surround another ship. And you've been recording this entire encounter. For my Galactic Enforcement Fails video series, yes. It's surprisingly popular. This one's definitely going to get a lot of views. Admiral Krex made a sound like air escaping from a deflating balloon. So this entire operation was based on faulty intelligence, improper legal interpretation, and fundamental misunderstanding of both human psychology and basic tactical terminology. Pretty much, Jake agreed cheerfully. But hey, look on the bright side. You all learned something today about the importance of accurate definitions and proper formation flying. Murphy's got it all documented if you want copies for training purposes. I am not giving training videos to a smuggler's AI, Krex declared. Cultural exchange specialist, Jake corrected. And technically, you're giving them to a licensed educational contractor. I'm actually thinking of adding military tactical assessment to my list of services. You guys clearly need the help. In the end, Admiral Krex chose the bureaucrat's favorite solution, reclassification. Jake's coffee transport became licensed cultural exchange materials. His resistance to arrest became educational consultation services. The entire incident was filed under training exercise with civilian contractor. Jake received an official commendation for improving interspecies understanding and a consulting contract to help update the GD's human behavior protocols. His first recommendation was a memo titled The Importance of Accurate Tactical Terminology, Why Words Matter in Military Operations. Next time, Jake suggested as the fleet prepared to disperse, just ask nicely. You'd be amazed what humans will do if you say please instead of trying to intimidate us with impossible geometry. Captain Vextari, who had somehow gotten promoted for innovative problem-solving approaches, still wasn't entirely sure what problem they had actually solved. But the new manual Jake was writing did include a very clear definition of the word surrounded, complete with helpful diagrams. As the enforcement fleet jumped to hyperspace, Jake settled back in his pilot's chair with a fresh cup of coffee and pulled up his video editing software. Murphy, how many views do you think this one will get? Considering that it features 5 military vessels failing to understand basic spatial relationships for 4 hours while being lectured by their target about proper tactics, I estimate it will break your previous record within 6 standard days. Jake grinned and started uploading the footage. Galactic Enforcement Fails, Episode 47, The Great Surrounding Incident. This is definitely going to be popular in 17 systems.